There's thousands of moments in my life that I cherished and I will cherish till the day I die that would not have been possible if I did not speak Spanish. You're gonna have these random coffee shop conversations with strangers, long talks with friends and cultivate deep, meaningful, lifelong friendships that you would never have had access to. There's techniques, methods, and practices that go back thousands of years. Somehow, none of it's taught in school. They're extremely powerful, life-changing. 4 of hearts, and then 5 of spades, and then the 9 of hearts, and then the 9 of clubs, and the king of hearts. Eso. You're gonna have to wrestle with your subconscious brain, with the monkey brain. You're gonna wanna not show up. You're gonna wanna skip a day, skip 2 days. Next thing you know, 5 months go by, and you're like, what the hell happened to my Spanish, right? We need to stay consistent. It's simple, but it's not always gonna be easy. All right, welcome. All right, let's get this show started. So this is the 3rd installment. So let's start with a bit of troubleshooting. How can simplify and make everything as lazy and efficient as possible? Because the Spanish language is incredibly simple. I promise you that. It is incredibly simple. But the problem is your monkey brain tries to convince you that it's difficult. So you can believe right now that it's very, very easy, and then tomorrow you forget. But I promise you, everything is very easy. It's just an illusion that it is going to get more and more difficult. It is not. So what have you been struggling with? Not all at once. So you guys don't struggle with anything. Spanish language is you're near mastery.
So one of the ones that always gets me, and you've explained this to me before, but the difference between esto, eso, and que, when to use which one in the conversation.
Okay, very good. So let's start with the first one. What's that?
That's above my level.
So
Definitely above my level. That's why I'm asking questions, baby.
Yeah. So in English, there's 2 kinds of that, right? You can say, I hope that you are well, right? I think that you are right. And I could point at something and say, I want that. There's a difference, right? So if you're pointing at something, right, it's one that, and if it's the first one, in English, we can almost completely remove it, right? I think that you're right. I think you're right, right? I hope that you're well. I hope you're well. So that one in English is removed. In Spanish, it's going to be used, and that's the que. So normally, you don't really need to think about it too much. Just like as you listen to people through comprehensive input, as you just pay attention, you'll hear things like espero que, blah, 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 I hope that. You'll hear pienso que, I think that. So you don't really need to learn the que as that individually. It's just a little, like, just listen and pay attention, and you'll start repeating. Now, the other one is that when you're pointing and say, I want that, or have you seen that house, and you're pointing, that's going to be, actually, we're going to be seeing that a little bit later, but you know what, let's just see it now, since it's come up. So we have this and that. There's very distinctive things. There's this right over here, and there's that over there, right? This is always closer. So everybody knows that little nursery rhyme with your toes. This little piggy went to the market. That little piggy went to Chili Willy's, and then that, right? This little piggy. So this, right? Imagine a really big snaky toe. Everybody look down at your toes, or if you're wearing shoes, look down at your neighbor's toe, and imagine the big second toe, not the big one, but the long one. Imagine it gutting out and snaking out like a sneaky, snibbery, sneaky snake, and it starts going up like a cobra. And imagine those toes just going out like a snake toe, right? So imagine it's shaped like an S, right? So this little piggy, right? This is not a piggy, it's my S toe. So this, and this is my S toe. So this is esto. Esto. I'm sure you've heard esta noche, right? Esta noche means this night. It's feminine. It's the same thing, but feminine. Esta noche. And another way to remember that is you can think of when I want to know what time we're going to be meeting up tonight, I want your estimated time of arrival. I want your ETA, but in Mexico, it's always ahorita. So they really want to specify that your ETA is going to be an estimated. So they call it ESTA, because they're really want you to be clear that it's not going to be 6 o'clock. It's estimated time of arrival, esta, right? So this, you can think of esta noche, or you can think of this little piggy went to Chili Willy's, esto. So esto and esta, what's the difference?
Esta is like
very good. And which one is going to be feminine? Esta. Why? The A is always feminine, right? And then the O is always masculine. There's no exceptions, right, guys? Never any exceptions to that rule, right? So esto and esta, and then well, technically the esto is going to be more like neutral. For you Germans, you're going to be like, oh yes, there's the Nuta, right? But so in this case, when there's no gender, we assume masculine, right? That's kind of like just the general, like in French as well. It's just like the standard, right? There is a specific masculine that you could use if you want to, right? Just like la and el, we're going to play around with the a and the e, right? La and el. So esta could become...
Esto.
Yes, so we have the la and the le. So the e is also masculine. Men with the masculinity of the Spanish language is the o and the e, right? And then the feminine is only the a. So we can play around with both. So it could be esta could become este, right? So we have the esta, the esto, and the este. My recommendation is if you're just starting off, choose one that you like the most and stick with that. They'll understand, right? It's not that complicated. It's like wherever I'm traveling around and learning, like people, oh, actually this is a feminine word. Actually, I really don't care. But thank you. I appreciate your help and your love and your encouragement. But I couldn't care less. You understand what I'm talking about? So I'd rather focus my brain power, my limited brain power, on learning more vocabulary, learning some new swear words, learning some stupid jokes. I don't want to waste time right now. But if you really want to get picky, I mean, you can just think about it for 1 second. The A is going to be feminine, the E is masculine, and when there's not anything mentioned and you're just like pointing, that's when you'll say the esto, because there's nothing that's following the word. So you don't know, you just assume it's I don't know. Esto. So this is esto. This is esto because this little piggy went, right? Now, everybody close your eyes. Close your eyes. Imagine you are entering a helicopter and you are flying up way above the cloud line. Now all the clouds start parting and there you are hovering above 4 giant football fields. I don't care if it's American or European. 4 giant football fields, but they're all connected and touching each other, so they're making one giant rectangle that could be seen from space. And there you are above these 4 giant fields. Now imagine giant capital letters in that giant rectangle, ESTA. It's in the game. ESTA, estimated, right? ESTA, giant capital letters. Take a moment to appreciate the font, the color, the texture, how it's looking exactly. ESTA, esta. Then beside the 4 fields, there's a house. And now there's a little casa. So it's esta casa, this house, esta casa. Now put your attention to the letter T. The letter T is, right, there's 2 lines. Imagine the vertical line is stretching up, and what comes up must come down. So as it's falling down, it's turning into a giant arrow, and the giant arrow is pointing towards this house, esta casa, this house right over here. Now go back to the ESTA. Now look at the bottom part of the T, and it's stretching down into a giant arrow and also pointing towards the house. And it's esta casa, this house. Go back to the T. You have 2 other lines, or 2 other sides. They're both stretching out. So there's 4 arrows coming out of the letter T, and they're all pointing towards this house, esta casa, the estimated time of house. Right? Now, imagine that exact same situation, but that T starts fading away, and it starts disappearing, and so do the arrows, and now the house starts to move way over there, far away from the fields. And now you're no longer talking about this house right over here, you are referring to that house way over there. But without the T. Without the T. Eso. And eso, if you want it to be more masculine, the eso becomes masculine. Ese, right? And if it becomes feminine, it would become esa. So in this case, it would be esa casa. But I'm just saying, in general, it could be esa, ese, or eso. So we have 6 things to think about, or you can just say esto for everything and let them figure it out. But those 6 things are actually quite simple because you're just thinking, right? Esto. When there's a T in there, it's this. And when there's no T, it's that. The A is always feminine, that's very clear, right? So esta and esa, right? This house, esta casa, and that house, esa casa. It's very clear. And then you just have to kind of think about the O and the E. And again, it doesn't really matter. But technically, in this case, the E will be clear masculine, and the O is kind of masculine, but we don't really know. We're not really sure. There's nothing that follows. Very good. So does that answer the question? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So Que is that in the sense of I hope that, I think that, I believe that, I fear that, all that stuff. And then if you want to point, you're going to say the esto and the eso. Great question, Adam. Yes, Tim.
Last week we did tubo, puso, hiso. I forget what those.
Okay, so
those are.
we had some technical difficulties with the mic.
Back to the brothel.
Yeah, well, Tim wants to go back to the brothel. He has a valued member card.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to redo that whole story. I don't know if today or another. Maybe we'll see how it flows. But I'm gonna have the mic only recorded half the lesson. When I bent over to turn on the lights, I somehow turned off the recording. So I thought it was the second half, but I have the first half, not the second half. So I'll have to redo that. Also, I just bought a whole new set of lights that will arrive on Monday. So by next week, we'll have nice lighting, so we'll be able to see. For now, I'll just put my phone here, and we have some flash. So yes, we'll get back to the brothel. Actually, that was when I was seduced by Hades' wife.
Yes.
So we'll get back to my seduction. Maybe we'll see how it flows. Maybe a little today or next week.
Look it up.
All right. You know what? Just for Tim, we'll get to the seduction a little bit later. All right. We have a lot of new people here anyway, so, and I think those who were there can use a refresher. Yes. Question.
I want to know how to get off the colectivo.
How do you get out the colectivo? So you open the door, you take a step out, right?
It's so hard to explain, and I don't hear what they're saying to ask to stop.
It's a great question. So the best thing to do is, I mean, I haven't been to colectivo in a long time, but I think I remember them. They say parado, parada, parada, parada.
El paradero, but at the stop.
Sí.
When you do that,
There's three things I yell at.
How do you say
Basta, carretero, or aquí.
Yeah. So basta is like saying enough. So they'll understand you. Basta, enough. They'll understand you. But yeah, I recommend saying more like aquí, or I think I remember hearing. It's been a while. I think I remember hearing para. Yeah, you can say baja. You can say alto, aquí. Yeah, baja, like going down. Anybody? Has anybody taken the colectivo recently? And listen, right? Listen to everybody else what they say. Record it, and I'll tell you what they're saying. But I'll go during the weekend. I'll grab a colectivo. But yeah, aquí porfa, alto. Yeah, aquí is the easiest. Here, great question.
I can speak more than I can listen to it. Because when I hear it, I can't understand it. But when I speak it, I know what I'm saying.
Okay, it's a great question. There's two types of people, and depending on how you learned it as well, some people can speak a lot more than they can understand, and most people can understand a lot more than they can speak, right? So normally when people learn the traditional, slow, boring way that takes 20 years, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, normally they're going to be able to understand a lot more than they can speak, because they're recognizing words, right? So that they can recognize them on paper, they can recognize them, but somehow when it comes to speaking, they freeze up. Normally, my students, it's the opposite. In 15 hours, they can speak and speak and speak and speak, not perfectly, making plenty of mistakes. But in 15 hours, people are going out there and connecting, but they haven't learned enough vocabulary to be able to understand everything that's being said. So, because when you're speaking, if you learn with this kind of fine arts of bullshittery or the finessing, you could always avoid words, right? Like Cody was saying 2 weeks ago, or last week, he kept forgetting the word for rain, so he would say the water from the sky, agua del cielo, right? I was recently in Germany, and I didn't know how to say the speed traps, right? So I was talking about, hey, like there's so many speed traps here, but I didn't know how to say it, so I switched, and I said, dort ist viel Robopolizei mit Kamera und Radar. There's so much RoboCops with cameras and radars, right? All the cars go very slow, and people were like, the blitzer, that's what they're called, blitzer. Okay, now I know, blitzer, because when I see them, I blitz, right? So the more you can get creative, like the game Taboo. Taboo is a great game to play and practice your Spanish, because by playing Taboo, you learn how to convince somebody to understand that you're talking about baseball without saying baseball bat, without saying field, without saying sport. You have to get very creative. Right, a group of guys playing around with a long thing, and there's some balls involved, and they get very sweaty. All right, that one might be misinterpreted. Right? So you see, Cody is another example. I've had over 1,000 students in the last 3 years. And after a very short period of time, when you have the inspiration, when you have the focus, when you have these tricks, you're able to express yourself quite well, and you have a lot of confidence, and you think the language is simple. And the students that I've met like 6 months later, a year later, that are not at a level of native fluency, is they gave up along the way. Everyone that I've in contact with or that I've met and has stayed at least 5, 10, 20 minutes a day, right? They've gotten within 6 to 12 months, they've gotten to a very, very solid level of near native fluency, right? And that's without this weekly meetups and things like that, which are going to help you a lot. So that's why I'm very, very confident, right? By just showing up, you'll be able to express yourself and understand. That takes time, right? So just basically find people that like to listen.
I don't even know what he's saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the mass, but I don't know what he's saying.
So the best way is just meet people that like to listen and just keep talking. And then you practice that. No. Or the other way around. No. A really, really great way is your brain hasn't had the experience to understand what's being said, because your brain hears one long word for every sentence, right? Just like when I'm speaking English, you don't really know where I'm making the pauses and where the word ends. But through experience, your brain is guessing. Your brain is constantly guessing where each word ends and each word begins, and then it makes sense of it. So you have to just get exposure. You have to listen to people speaking very slowly. Have conversations with people, and if necessary, you can ask them to speak like this, slowly and más despacio, and with many pauses between each word. You have to get in hundreds of hours of listening to people speaking slow to be able to understand when they're right? There's no shortcut, right, to understand them when they're speaking fast. You have to get 50 hours, 100 hours, or 200 hours of listening and understanding in order for your brain to have the experience necessary to be able to guess where those pauses are and recognize the words like this really quickly on a subconscious level. So it's great for you if you're already speaking. That means you understand and you're able to express. So now just ask them to slow down, and you might have to repeat that 30, 40 times every conversation, which is what I was doing, right? After I learned Spanish, they heard me say a couple of things with a really nice accent and pronunciation, and they assume, oh, this guy speaks fluently. So they start speeding up, and I have to ask them 30, 40, 50, 60 times in the conversation, please, despacio. But don't give up, right? This is your learning experience. You need to understand them. So keep asking them to slow down, and then over time you'll be able to understand. Listen to podcasts, music, movies, and that also helps you to understand different people speaking in different ways. But also if you practice with the same 3, 4 people very, very frequently, and then a little bit with everybody else, you're going to get really good at understanding these people or that one person. And then once you can understand them very well, you can start playing around with different accents and different people. Great question, Tim.
I find that when I want them to go slower, they don't repeat what they just said. They like say it in another way. So how can I ask for repeat? Okay.
Can you repeat what you just said, please? There you go. So be very. So no. Oh, like in Spanish, you mean? Oh, okay. Right. Okay. What do you think the verb or the Spanish word for?
Repito.
Okay, very close, but give me the full verb. The full verb, because repito would be I repeat, right? Kind of. Okay, but how do full verbs always end? Every verb, when it's not conjugated, always ends with what? We have 3 options. No, we have 3 options. Are, so AR.
Repitar.
Okay, good guess. It's not right, but I like your guess. I always guess AR first because 90% of all verbs are pirates, right? 90%. In this case, it's one of the rare IR verbs, right? Only about 2%. Repetir, right? So puedes repetir, porfa, pero más despacio. And then say porfis and go like this. And bat your eyes a little bit, right? Porfis is like the cute way of saying please. Anybody who's still saying
Did you say Monday?
if you say Monday, they're just gonna repeat it again. But Monday literally connects back to a time where people were either like slaves or like kind of like slave-like employees. And Monday, it's kind of like I'm awaiting your orders, sir. So like I'm awaiting. That's what it originally is. Now it's used as I didn't hear you repeat. But that's kind of what it connects to. So I don't ever teach Mande because I don't like the frequency, the energy attached to it. Hear that, but I'll just repeat it. So if you say, puedes repetir, right? Can you repeat? Más despacio, porfa. Also, it's a little bit complicated because there's always a lot of mix of the students. Some of you are already at an intermediate advanced level. Some of you are just starting off. So sometimes you'll be a little bit confused and not understand what's going on. Some of you are going to be a little bit bored, right? I'm trying to do, something where everybody gets value out of it. So we'll do the best that we can. But yeah, you are in charge. And, well, I got distracted. If you're still saying por favor, stop immediately. Don't listen to Duolingo. Por favor, just like you're putting gringo on your forehead. You'll only hear por favor from gringos or from, like maybe the waiters or, people who are working in a professional setting or who are very well educated and want to show that they're very like polite and formal, right? But most people are saying porfa. Listen, right? Don't just take what Duolingo tells you and use it. Listen to what people are saying, right? They don't say yo hablo español. They just say hablo. So listen to what people are saying and try to mimic, right? So disculpa. So culpa means guilt, and disculpa literally means can you unguilt me? So like if I did something wrong and I want your forgiveness, I was right. But yes, they do also say disculpa, right? As like sorry, like can you pardon? Lo siento, perdón.
Disculpa, excuse me.
So
if I want to pass by,
lo siento, perdón, disculpa, and con permiso. The easy answer is just use lo siento always. Use lo siento. Lo siento means I feel it.
They told me only Canadians say that.
No. Lo siento. I mean, Canadians are known for saying I'm sorry, right? But no, they say that Canadians say it too much. But lo siento will always fit any situation. Not always the best one, but it's always functional. So be very clear with your intentions, right? Tell people, communicate how you want the conversation to flow. How do you want your learning experience to flow? You are in charge of your learning experience. And then you're going to speak to somebody, you're not going to tell them, or you'll tell them once or twice and you give up. Then they speak too fast, they don't repeat the same thing, they change it. Who's responsible for your experience? You are. So if you accept it and then say, well, I'm not going to learn anything today because they spoke too fast and they repeat things. It's your responsibility to mention it and repeat it as often as you need until you get what you need, which is, yes, you will. Get your education. Yeah, so porfa is just a lot more casual, friendly, fun, playful, porfa. And if you're a girl, you can say porfis, and it's like a really cute way of saying please. Porfis. Also, instead of saying hola, you could also be cuter and say, what do you say? Olis. Olis. Right? So listen to what the locals are saying, and right, I tried saying olis and porfis, but people kept thinking I was gay or something. It's very feminine. So I still say it sometimes, but I'm very selective when I say it. It's kind of like saying like "poes." Great questions. What else do we have? Any other questions? What are you struggling with? Oh, I don't know who went up first here. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch this toe.
Estos.
Yes, I think you were first.
How do I say I'm looking forward to something? Like in English, we say I'm looking forward to something, but
I'm looking forward to.
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm looking. So yes, there is no literal translation to that. You could say, that's a good question. How do you say I'm looking forward to? I would say I'm waiting with anticipation. Maybe estoy esperando con anticipación. I'm looking forward. No, I'm looking forward to. There is an expression that means the same thing. I'm going to see if it pops into the back of my mind while I put this in the background. But yeah, I remember looking into this a few years ago, and there is no literal translation, but there is something. I'll see if I can think of it in the background. Keep that on the back burner. Yes. Rolling the R's. Okay. So I'm always going to give you the easy solution, and then for those of you who are a little bit more intermediate advanced, I'll give you the more complex one. So the easy answer is don't roll your R's.
I don't. But I just kind of like throw a little.
Yeah.
But they were telling me when I was saying perro, I'm telling these people that I like their dog, their perro, but I wasn't rolling my R, so I was saying I like your butt.
Yeah.
So they're saying, don't say that. Don't say that. You got to say perro.
Yeah. So
Right?
there's gonna be a lot of different types of people you're gonna speak with, right? Ideally, a conversation is a two-way street. People need to be working with you, not against you, right? If through context, I'm walking up to you, you have a dog, and I say, right, I like your butt, and there's clearly a dog, right? That's on them. They hear what they want to hear, right? They're being smart butts, okay?
They're being real perro.
They're being very real perros. So the easy answer is just don't care. Just keep the R as almost like a T. Pero, right? Pero. And if you want to really do the R's, I like it. I think it's fun. The best thing to do, chicos, por favor. The best thing that I would recommend is.
He's doing the French.
All right.
But that's not Spanish.
So, for the R's, I would recommend, if you want to, which I think is a good idea, spend 5 minutes every day or 1 minute every day in front of the mirror, every single day, as much as possible, at least 5 days a week, and first start off with massaging your face muscles, shaking your jaw around, moving your tongue around, right? Stretching all the muscles in your face. We have a little bit less talking, a little bit more listening, please, because it's getting distracting. Thank you. A little bit more listening, a little bit, so we can get through material. Thank you very much. So, start by stretching your face a little bit, massaging all your face muscles, your tongue, everything, and then just be playful, right? Right, like a child exploring your face for the first time and playing around with the sounds and how it looks and how it feels. And then what you want to do is most people try to control the tongue and make it like you will never be able to get that speed that you need, right? To get that rapid tongue flicking motion, right? So so there's a lot of, right? The benefits of learning a language will always transcend the language, and in this case, quite literally, will transcend this. You know, it's going to help you out in a lot of different fields in life. So getting really good, solid control over your tongue. So you don't want to have your entire tongue rigid and all those muscles activated trying to flick your tongue. You'll never get that. So you want to, if you can imagine it, imagine just the half of the tongue that's in your throat that's holding the tip of the tongue up towards the roof, but the whole front part is loose, right? It takes a little bit of practice, but the whole front part is loose. So when the air is going through, the air is tapping the tongue up and down, not your actual muscles, right? So you can practice this by first trying different sounds like perro. All right. So might take some people several weeks, some people several months. But if you do it every single day and just with no expectation, just having a playful, childlike curiosity, right? Or a sick mind like Adam, and just focus on that. Focus, right? It will come. And once you can nail 15 R's in a row, then you work your way back to 10, 9, 8, 7, until perro, 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 carro, carro, perro, carro, right? So just play around with it, right? You don't need it. What does carro sound like?
Car.
Yes, it is. It means car. So carro is car. With one R, it's expensive because when your car is revving, the engine is going carro. So when there's two R's, it means car. But when you try to turn your car on and you don't hear any sounds, it sounds expensive. So when it's just one R, carro, it means expensive. Same thing with a dog, right? The end of the dog that's growling is the dog. It's perro. But The end of the dog that growls less is his butt. And it's perro. And again, actually, technically, the word perro does not mean the ass.
No,
it means the word butt. As in, I'm sorry, but you have a sick mind, my friend. I'm talking about your four-legged creature. Right?
What about caliente and calor?
Okay.
One time I said muy caliente.
So caliente will normally have a sexual connotation. Caliente will normally have a sexual connotation, right? But not necessarily, right? That's just what their dirty minds are saying. So technically, it just means hot, right? So normally the food is caliente, right? And when you're hot, is tengo calor. I have heat. So calor is like heat, and caliente is hot. So tango. What does tango mean? I have because I have tango in my blood. I have tango in my veins. I have tango in my heart. I have tango. So tengo calor means I have heat. If you say tengo caliente, it's I have hot, right? So that's why it sounds inappropriate. But the soup is caliente, right? It's hot.
You're saying like the weather's hot.
Hay calor, right? There's heat, right? There's not hot. There's heat, right? Excelente. Yes. Oh wait, actually, maybe we can ask Flor. ¿Cómo dirías como si tenemos algo muy especial mañana y estoy súper feliz y emocionado para verte mañana? Just try to save the time. ¿Cómo dirías a tu amigo que vas a ver mañana y estás muy emocionado para ver a tu amigo y dices, estoy esperando con anticipación o estoy muy... Pero ansioso es como negativo, ¿no? ¿O? Depende. Que en inglés no sé si conoces la expresión de I'm looking forward to. ¿Cómo dirías esto en español?
Esperando por ti.
Esperando.
Sí, but so I'm hoping and I'm waiting. Pero no hay. So it's difficult sometimes to translate specific things. I'll look into it and I'll find the closest thing. Yeah, sorry, Irving. Gracias, Flor.
Es muy picante, no caliente.
Okay, so caliente is the temperature of the heat. And if it's spicy, then it has nothing to do with temperature. It's going to be picante.
It's hot food.
Pica.
Like
Pica.
spicy,
Yeah.
picante.
And if you want the really spicy hot sauce, you ask them for doble picante. Yeah, double spicy. Because the doble picante, it's spicy de entrada y repica de salida. It spices you on the way in and it double spices you on the way out. They also call it chile campana.
Caliente perro.
Campana, because as it comes out, it's like the bell ringing. It goes and it crushes you on the way out. The bell spicy. Okay, thank you very much, Flor. Muchas gracias. See if we can get some lights. Ho 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 ho. Is that better?
Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh, not for you. Try to stay here. Yeah, normally it's... Oh, who's sitting here?
She just went to walk.
Okay. I'll try and block you here. Or we can just turn it off. Next time we'll have the lights, so it'll be a lot.
Put on the floor.
Here.
Looking up.
Well, then you guys are all gonna get spooky, like a scary story. Any more questions, troubleshooting? So let's go back into the Espanol. Maybe they'll have a little bit of time at the end. So what we're going to do is, there's going to be a little bit of repetition with the verb tenses, because verb tenses are traditionally one of the most complicated, annoying, a good idea at the bottom. Verb tenses, conjugation is normally one of the most annoying, difficult, hair-ripping experience of learning language. I went to French school all my life, and I struggled for years and years and years, and still kept failing exams, and it was my native tongue. And I grew up, my dad's from New Brunswick, spoke French with him, my mom's from Ireland, so I spoke English with her, but I went to French school all my life. And the teachers, they traumatize you because they force you to memorize hundreds and hundreds of pages of verb tenses, and then they just ask you, how do you use this the verb to eat in the third person of the more than perfect past tense. Go. And it's like, I have no idea what the hell that is. I mean, I could use it in a sentence. If I know they're in a context, I know what to say, but I don't know how to put it on the paper. So for years and years and years, I was failing these exams, struggling, ripping my hair out, frustrated, and most people go through that with verbs. But the verb tenses are the backbone, right? The structure of every language. If you can master verb tenses, right, you can handle the language. So every single lesson we're gonna do 1 to 2 verb tenses. A lot of times we're gonna repeat the same one, but it's very, very important that it gets really, really, really solidly locked in, because there's there's 2 or 3 verb tenses, right, that you're going to be using all the time that are extremely essential, right? What are the 3 ones that you need absolutely? Past, present, and future. If you can handle past, present, and future, you can at least express everywhere, anytime you want. And then after that, there's a couple of more that are going to be very, very common, right? And then once you get to 7 or 8 verb tenses, you could handle any basic conversation with pretty solid level of being able to express yourself. And then at that point you can get a couple of more, and that's going to give you the native ability to handle literally any thought. If I had known that you might have come, then we would have gone, and let's call each other tomorrow at 5 p.m. because tomorrow at 5 p.m. I will have eaten, right? You can very easily get around all that, and I did for years with my black belt and bullshittery and finessing and improvisation. But at one point, you're going to be like, what? I really want to express this. And when you get really, really good at avoiding your problems, you don't even notice them anymore. You just, right? You're very sneaky at going around them, right? But once we get to that point when we're getting all the verb tenses, you're going to feel so powerful. And once we learn them with these hacks, I can teach you any verb tense in 2-3 minutes. If you were a computer and AI, in 1 minute per verb tense, I would get you to master it. So in 10 minutes, I would get you every single verb tense, which will get you to handle 99.9% of every verb conjugation ever. So why is it that we're struggling for years and years and years, memorizing hundreds of pages, when I could teach you in 15 minutes every single verb tense, every single conjugation, everything that you would ever want to express ever, right? So let's not complicate things, let's simplify it. So we're going to do the future tense and the present tense today, so we can connect with that. Before we learn something very simple, what's easier than simple and easy? Exactly, avoiding. The easier way to solve all your problems is to avoid all of your problems. I'm not your psychologist, I'm your brain hacker, right? You can handle your problems outside or next wine tasting. Yeah, for those from last week, the gift was the wine tasting with Ennis over here. So he worked for a year in a 3-star Michelin restaurant, and he was a manager for a long time in the Hilton Hotel. So if anybody wants to have a really, really cool, completely non-snobby, really down-to-earth, really fun wine tasting experience, it was really, really, really cool. And we're definitely going to have wine pairing, taste testing with some friends very, very soon. So you can reach out to Annie later. So yeah, so the easiest way to handle an easy thing like the future tense is to avoid it. And how do we avoid the future tense?
Die.
We die. Okay. Living in the present. Let's all be Buddhists. Tomorrow does not exist. I live and breathe in the now. I love it. But for those of us who are not so Buddhist, boya, right? We saw that, I think, last time, on the first time. The easiest way to avoid the I will eat is just simply saying I'm going to, right? So we'll revisit the story on a later one. In the meantime, you could watch the YouTube video. But basically, you're Pinocchio and you're excited because you're finally going to be a real boy, right? For those who can't see on the audio, I'm stroking a very wooden shaft because I am a boy, right? A boy. So Pinocchio is a boy. I'm going to be a boy. I'm going to be a real boy. So boya is I'm going, and you could use that for all the time, and you never will have to use the will, right? And then the past tense, we could avoid it by saying I just, which was acabo de. Acabo de, and you're done. Acabo de, and you have the past tense, right? So very, very easy. But before we get into the future tense, let's stay in the present. So what we're going to do is we're going to take any verb in the infinitive form, which is with the R at the end, right, where it's not conjugated, A-R-E-R-I-R. So, and we're going to take that And for he, she, it, John, Johnny, and the dog, what do we do with the full verb? We simply, no, for he, she, it, we drop the R. For he, she, it, we drop the R, and that's it. So hablar becomes habla, right? To eat, what's to eat? Comer, and he, she, it eats is? Come. Very good, come, right? How do you remember which one has an E, which one has an A? No, no, the verb tenses are gender fluid or no gender. They're non-binario. The verbs are non-binary, yeah, depending on if it's feminine or masculine. Non-binary in Spanish is non-binario for masculine and non-binary for feminine. I'm not making that up. Look in the dictionary. But so yeah, verbs are never going to be gendered. They're non-binary, right? It's only the things and the descriptions of the things that are going to be feminine or masculine. So verbs, right? How do we remember if it's habla and not hable? How do we remember that it's come and not coma? We don't have to remember. We go back to the full verb and we drop the R, and whatever's there stays there. Don't guess verbs. You cannot bullshit verbs. I've tried for months and months and months. I gave it my best shot. If I can't bullshit verbs, you can't. So don't guess. You have to go step by step by step. And no matter how unsexy it sounds, that's what you go for. For the verb ear, so you get 99% of verbs, right? Because first of all, IR verbs are going to be a little bit different because they're so rare. They're going to mostly follow the ER. But IR one of the 1% exception of the verb. So right now we're focusing on the 99%. If we get to 99%, I think everybody will be very, very happy. But ear, you already know it. I'm going is, what's I'm going? Yeah, boy. And then Geppetto, right? I made a deal with the devil. I'm going to be a boy, but Geppetto's going to be a sheep. And he says, you're a bad boy, Pinocchio, bad boy. So just like in French, he is going is il va. But the V is like a B, so ba. So boy, ba. And we had a question here?
Yes, that's it.
Exactly. So most of the, we're going to focus for the majority, okay? There's no exceptions ever, except for ear. So we go to the full verb and we simply drop the R, and we don't change anything for he, she, it. Hablar is habla, right? Reservar, reserva, right? It's easy, easy, easy. Confirmar is confirma, right? Tomar is toma. So he, she, it. We just dropped the R. What do we add for you? S. You is an S. Why? Because you're an ass. Because you're an ass. Exactly. You are an ass. So you, we always add an S. That's why when you say, how are you? You say, ¿Cómo estás? When you say, do you speak Spanish? You say, hablas español. Español. So we add the S for you. What do we add for them monkeys over there? They and y'all? We add an N because them monkeys are eating all my bananas. Bananas. They eat the bananas. They eat the bananas. So they is always with an N, right? So como está, como estás, and como están. Very good, very good. And then for we, where everybody put your hands up, wherever we are, we drop the R and we make the most out of the we time. Oh.
Yes and no.
Yeah, so S and most. Your homework is to go to the nearest tattoo shop and get the letter S, right, from the ass, the letter N from bananas, and the most from making the most out of we time tattooed on your hand, or anywhere visible. The S, the N, and the most. Get it tattooed. Or every day take a Sharpie and literally draw it on your hand. And after a couple of weeks or a month, they will be so encrusted into your hands that you will never again forget, because these S's and N's and moses are going to be appearing again and again and again every single day for the rest of your Spanish-speaking life. So you might as well nail it in as hard as you can in the first couple of weeks, and then you never have to worry about it again because they've reached native fluency. Or you can struggle for 6 years, or 10 years, or 15 years. Like I've met a lot of people who are, imagine 20 years of speaking Spanish, and you still don't understand the simple. It's not your fault, right? It's because the teachers and the teaching methods and the platforms are not teaching you in the right way. They're not showing you what to focus on and how to simplify. But now you know. So now every day you have to focus on that S, the N, and the most, because they will be coming time after time again, right? So very good. So we have the full, right? Comer becomes for he, she, it. Come, for he, she, it. For you eat. Comes, very good. For they eat. Comen, very good. Comen. And we eat would be? We eat. Comemos, right? You have to stop for a second and just go, okay, comer, drop the R, add the S, switch the S for an N, switch the N for a mos. You have to see it in your head. You have to visualize it or imagine or feel it in your corazón, in your heart, right? Come, comes, comen, comemos, right? Nail it down 20 times a day if you want, until it becomes second nature that you can do it in your sleep, right? Hablar, to speak, for he speaks becomes it's hablar. So habla, right? Just drop the R, the A is already there. Habla. For you speak. Habla, say y'all speak. Hablan, and we speak. Hablamos, because we're back to, right? So don't get it locked into your head that it's going to be amos or emos, right? It's the full verb, drop the R, and it's simply most that you add. So hablar becomes habla, hablas, hablan, hablamos, right? You're not going to randomly switch it an E in there. Don't complicate it. Keep it as simple as possible. So that's the present tense for 99% of their, oh, and for eye, everybody pull out your telescope. Put it to your eye, and what do you spy with your little eye through your telescope? The letter. So for the letter O, you're going to drop the whole ending, the A and the E, everything, and just keep the O. So hablar becomes hablo, and comer becomes como. Very good. The I is super simple. Always put the telescope to your eye and see the letter O. O. So there with the present tense, super simple, but it needs to be practiced until it gets really soaked into your skin. Okay? Now we're going to do the future tense, the real future tense. So, where there is a will, there is a way. And where there is a way, the clouds shall part, and a beautiful beam of sunshine will shine down upon all of your hopes and dreams and desires. How beautiful. Where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a way, there is a ray of sunshine. There is a ray of hope. There are X-rays that are going to come down and allow you to see through all your problems. And on that ray of sunshine and ray of hope, imagine Ray Charles walking down with his piano, and then slips off because you can't really see where he's going. So there's so where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a way, there's a ray. Everybody love Raymond, right? Everybody will love Raymond, right? Imagine Ray Charles and Raymond. Ray. So where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a way, there is a ray. Right? So for the future tense, you don't have to even think about what kind of verb. Is it a pirate verb? Is it not a pirate verb? You don't care. You simply add on Ray at the end because Ray Charles is our future. Where there's a will, right? The Spanish word for king is Rey. So where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a way, there is a Rey. There's a king. Reina is queen and Rey is king. So Rey. So to speak is?
Hablaré.
Very good. I will speak hablaré. Right? I will eat. To eat. No, so change to the new verb. Comeré. Comeré. The full verb, and then you add Ray Charles at the end, right? For Will Smith. Imagine Will Smith Frenching Ray Charles. Then I mean, it's spelled R-A-R-E, but in your mind, it could be R-A-Y. Imagine Will Smith making out, Frenching, tongue and slobbery and slimy, right? Will Smith and Ray Charles. And now you will have forever locked in Will and Ray in your mind. When there's a Will, it's Ray, and Ray is Will. Imagine, close your eyes, really get the details, the juicy details in there. Will is now married to Ray Charles. Right, they're married together forever. They've fused their skulls together. Now they're Siamese twins married. Will Smith and Ray. So the full verb: hablar, hablaré; reservar, reservaré; confirmar, confirmaré; tomar, tomaré; estar. Right, I will be drunk is estaré borracho. Right, There's a song. When I was just a little girl, I asked my mother, what will I be? Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? And here's what she said to me. Ra, sera, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. All right, so all we need to remember is that song, right? Que sera, sera, que sera, sera. Okay, so the re is for I. Why? Because I am the king. I am the re. I am the re.
How do you say I will?
So there is no just I will. You have to complete the sentence of I will eat. I will do.
So it says asere.
I will.
We'll get to that a little bit later. But yes, yeah, that's right.
Asere, I will.
I will do.
I will do it. And I will be.
Estare.
So with ser simply becomes seré, 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 right? Like in French, je serai, it's the same. Okay? So everybody imagine up here, right? Look here, I am the king, I am the re, right? Everybody reach up as high as you can and touch the re, right? The crown is on top, I am the re. Everybody say, I am royalty.
I am royalty.
I am the king.
I am the king.
I am the Ray.
I am the Ray.
All right, so Ray is up here. Okay, Ray is up here. Now, what would you add to Ray to make it we? Remember, I gave you before. I said we is always going to be most because we make the most. So Ray simply becomes for we
Ramos.
Ramos. So Seré becomes
Seremos.
Seremos. Estaré becomes Estaremos. Hablaré becomes Hablaremos. So on top here we've got Ray, and Ray becomes Ramos. We have Ray, and Ray becomes Ramos. Ray, Ramos, Ray. And I am the king, but we are all royalty, because as my friends, you will be in charge of all the most important elements of the army, of master of coin, of everything, because the king always takes care of his friends, right? Some things never change, right? So I am the king, but we are royalty. That's why it's Ray and Ramos. So me and my friends are all royalty, okay? So I am the king, and we are royalty, Ray Ramos, okay? Now everybody else are dirty, stinking rats, and they will face the wrath of the rat god, right? So I'm the king, everybody else, they're dirty, stinking, filthy rats. Rats, imagine rats crawling between your legs everywhere, right? Those are the peasants, the vermin, the rest. So I am the king, we are royalty, everybody else, dirty, stinking rats, right? So Ramos, for he, she, it, it's like rats, but drop the ending and it's just ra. Just like the song. Que sera, sera. So ra. So Ray, ra, Ray, ra, Ray, ra, Ray, ra, Ray, ra, Ray, ra, Ray, ra. That's the future tense. It's just Ray and ra, Ray and ra. Now, what would you add to the ra to get you will? The S. You add the S, the same S as before. Nothing different, no surprises. So ra becomes ras. Now go back to the ra. What do we add to ra for they and y'all? That same N, and we have ran. And we just learned the entire future tense with Ray and Ra, because Ray gives us for we
Ramos.
Ramos. Don't say Ramos, because if you say Ramos, you are saying that we are rats. And I will not stand by, right? We are not the rats, we are royalty, right? So I always used to have my students always say Ramos and habla Ramos until I started using the rats and showing there's a clear difference between what's on top here and what's down there. And now people are normally pretty good at saying Ramos, Ramos, Ramos does not exist. Okay, Ray gives you Ramos. Everybody look on top here, way on top. Ray Ramos, Ray Ramos, Ray Ramos, Ray Ramos. And then he, she, it is Ra. And then you, Ras, and they ran. So once more. Ray, Ra, Ray, Ra, Ray, Ra. Ray, Ra, Ray, Ra, Ray, Ra, and then we Ramos. Very good. I normally took a couple of you, but you guys are all really good. So the we is the Ramos, because why? Because we're the kings and we're the royalty, right? So just with the Ray and the Ra, you have the entire future tense. So let's take to speak. What's I will speak? Oh, so, we'll do a question first. Yes.
You don't talk about you use.
Yeah. So they and y'all is the same.
No, use like instead.
Oh, never use the formal. We don't care about the formal. We're gonna be. There was a time. So there's only two.
Many of you. Many of you.
Oh, the vous is the you all. So the N is for they and y'all. It's the same. Il au pluriel and vous pluriel is the same. It's just to keep things simple. I like how they're efficient they are. So the they and the you all, right? Whether I'm speaking to all of you, right? How are you guys all doing? It's como están. And if I want to know how your parents are doing, it's also como están.
Okay.
Mwah, beautiful. So let's go back to the hablar. How we say I will speak?
Hablaré.
Hablaré. We will speak. Hablaremos. He, she, it, and also you formal if you want to. You, he, she will speak. Hablará. 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 So we have the re, remos, right? Ra, hablará, hablará. You will speak. Hablarás. And they, you all, vous would speak, will speak. Ran. Right? This little foot ran away. It ran away. We had a question? No? Right? So what's to eat? Comer. I will eat. Comeré. We will eat. Comeremos. Right? He, she, it will eat. Comerá. Right? You will eat. Comerás. And they will eat. Comerán. Excelente. Round of applause. Great stuff, guys. So it sounds like in your brain R-A-Y, but it's actually spelled R-E. Because in Spanish, they can't make up new sounds. In English, it's very complicated because, right, the A has 8 different ways of pronouncing. Apple, aunt, hall, has, aunt. And the letter E, Mercedes, has 3 different E's, and they're all pronounced differently. Mercedes, right? But in Spanish, it's extremely simple. There is no other way to A sound, A, than to have an E, right? You can't do A-Y, it would be A-E, right? They're very literal and specific. Every single letter, even restaurant with the A-U, it's restaurante. They pronounce every single letter. So the re, it has to be R-E. But you can spell it however you want.
How do you say hablar in the future?
Oh, that was the question. So vous is the same as they, as il au pluriel. So you don't have to learn a new one. The N is for they and y'all. There is no other thing to learn. It's just that the he, she, and it is all the same. Hablarán. Yeah, hablarán is for they and all of you, vous. Oh, that's only in Spain and Argentina. Like that, we don't need that here. Hablaréis. What's to be? Estar. How do you say? I will be drunk. I will. Estaré borracho. We will be. Estaremos. She will be. Estará. You will be. Estarás. And they will be. Estarán. Right? Because they are rats. So re, remos, ra, ras, ran. Right? Let's take the permanent to be. The permanent to be is ser. Right? And how do you say I will be? With ser. I will be a seré. Right? You gotta take your time. With verbs, you can't do that with grammar, do that with vocabulary, with everything else. But with verbs, you can't be blurting things out. You have to stop. Where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a way, there's a. Will Smith was married to Ray. Okay, seré.
Just say permanent what?
Oh, so there's 2 kinds of to be. There's ser and estar. We'll get to that maybe a little bit later. But basically, the simple answer, is ser is more of a permanent characteristic, and estar is more of a temporary state. So if you want to pull out a label gun and put a label on somebody, you're going to use the ser or soy, right? And if you're going to not put a label on somebody, it's going to be estar, estoy, right? So if somebody is an alcoholic, right, they would say, soy borracho, I am drunk permanently. I'm always drunk. I have a problem. But estoy borracho means I'm drunk right now. It's a temporary state that will pass. right? If I'm saying I'm happy, I'm going to say estoy, because right now I'm feeling. If I want to ask somebody how are you right now, I say como.
Estoy. Estás.
Yes, but with estoy, but with you it's como estás. Because I don't want to know your whole life story. I just want to know how you're feeling right now. I have things to do. So soy is permanent because soy milk is always going to be soy milk. Put that in your fridge, pull it out in a couple of days, it will always be soy milk. So soy is permanent, right? But estoy is temporary. Great question, right? Now we'll have time for that time where I was seduced by Hades' wife. We'll conclude with that. So it's very important that as I go through the story, it's not my seduction, it's your seduction, right? So imagine it in the first person of you being seduced by Hades' wife. So Hades is I think the Greek god of the underworld or something? Yes. Very good. So the Greek god of the underworld, Hades. Okay? Have you heard about Hades? Hades nuts. Got you. All right. So I met this girl at a party once, and I didn't know she was Hades' wife at the time. So imagine yourself. You guys close your eyes. Imagine you're at a party, and you lock eyes with this beautiful woman across the room, and you don't know she's Hades' wife, but you struck up a conversation with her. You get her phone number, and you say, you know, it's my birthday in a week, and I would love you to be there and celebrate with me. And she says yes. So you grab her number, and I don't care if you're a guy or a girl, Hades' wife will seduce you, and you cannot control yourself. So you are bewitched and enamored by her, and you get her phone number. So now you have a week to get in the best shape of your life. Get into that bikini body or that Speedo body. So you ask your friend for lose weight quick solution, and he gives you these magical diet pills. And he says, take one every single day, and here's a calendar that follows. So you take the first pill, and then you realize that you're constipated. And you look at the calendar, and today it says, not poo day. The next day, you take another pill, you're still constipated. The calendar says, not poo day. You can't poo because it is not poo day. So you couldn't poo because it wasn't poo day. Everybody say, I couldn't poo! It was not poo day. Okay, so now every day goes by and it's not poo day. And finally, that final fateful day, there she blows. You take the last pill, and the last pill is the red pill, and now I could finally poo because it was poo day. The calendar clearly marks poo day, and that was the day where I could finally poo because it was poo day, and I could finally poo on poo day. So now you look down, you've got a rockin' solid body, you're toit as a toiger, you're ready for your party, and you prepared the night before, and you made a whole bunch of ice. You made a whole bunch of ice. Because we're in Mexico, you want to have a lot of margaritas on your birthday. So luckily, you made ice. Luckily, I made ice. Luckily, I made ice for my margaritas, but everybody loved it. And they're asking for second round of the margaritas, and you go to the freezer, and unluckily, I didn't make enough ice. I did not make enough ice. I made some ice, but I did not make enough ice. Baby, ice, baby, I did not make the ice. All right, but everybody starts to boo and get angry. But luckily, Hades arrives at this moment with a giant bottle of red wine, right? Luckily, she came with wine. In Spanish, she came with Vino. It was a beautiful wine from the south of Spain, a giant bottle, and actually, she put a love spell on this bottle of wine. Last night, she masturbated vigorously with this bottle of wine until she came 7 times. So she literally came with wine 7 times, and this makes the 8th. So imagine her vigorously masturbating with a giant bottle of red wine, like the 2-liter ones, not the little ones, right? And she's not using the top end. Try swirling that one around then, and it's I wonder if that one passes your sniff test. All right, so luckily she came with the Vino. 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 Now you are bewitched by this love potion that she has concocted for you, and now the party goes by, and you are the only ones left, just you and Hades' wife, and you're on the rooftop admiring the beautiful night sky, and there is a shooting star, and then meteor shower starts, and she looks at you and she says, make a wish. And in your state of enamoration, you just look at her in the eyes and you say, right, the only thing that I wanted in that moment, the only thing that I wanted in that moment, there was nothing more than I wanted, the only thing that I wanted was to kiss her. All I wanted to do was to kiss her. I looked on, right, Google America's Most Wanted, and all I wanted to do was, there's her lips on that poster, because all I wanted was to kiss her. All I wanted was to, with your best Boston accent, I wanted to kiss her, right? Right? From Boston, right? What are you talking about? I wanted to kiss her. I only wanted to kiss her. So I wanted to kiss her, I wanted to kiss her, I wanted to kiss her on those juicy, seductive lips. I wanted to kiss her. But she had other plans in store. She looks you deeply into your eyes, and passionately she says, I want a lot more than to kiss her. I want you to put it in the pussy. I want you to put it in the pussy. Put it in the pussy. Put it in the pussy. So everybody say, I put it in the pussy. Put it in the pussy. Come here, pussy, 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 kitty, kitty, kitty. Put it in the pussy. I put it in the pussy. I put it in the pussy. I put it in the pussy. And now you are balls deep into your love spell, no pun intended, and now you are back at her apartment, and 3 weeks go by, and you are completely enchanted by her, and you have lost all notion of time and responsibilities and life, and there you are, and you are starting to have some erection problems. Even you ladies out there, even your strap-on is having a hard time, or soft time, let me rephrase that, is not having a hard time. So you ask her, you should go out and get some Viagra, and she says, no worries, I got you covered. So she pulls out her magic snake charmer whistle, because she was a snake charmer in a past life, and she starts singing and playing and serenading your member, and then you even see behind her silhouette of the Beatles appear behind her, and they start singing to you, and the Beatles are singing right directly to your D. They're singing to your D, and they're saying, hey D, don't be afraid, take a sad schlong and make it harder the minute you slip it in. Hey D, 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 hey D. Do, hey D. So not hey Jude, but hey D. Hey D, hey D, because she's the wife of Hey D. She's the wife of Hey D, and they're singing Hey D, hey, and until eventually your member starts coming up like a cobra and following the song Hey D, Hey D. Luckily, right, she said Hey D enough times. She said and she told your D, Hey D. She said it to your D. She said it to your D, but she said it from her heart. Directly to your D. She said, hey D, hey D, and hey D, hey D, hey D. Now you start realizing there's a problem here. So you try to escape. So yeah, now is when you realize. So you make up an excuse to go to the bathroom, and you run to the bathroom, and luckily I had YouTube Prime on my phone. Luckily I had YouTube, and I looked up on YouTube, how do I escape the seductive clutches of Hades' wife? Luckily for you, there's a bunch of videos. You're not the first person to fall under her spell. So you look at the first video and you follow the instructions. So luckily I had a tube of toothpaste. So everybody imagine walking up to the sink, and everybody with your hand reach out and grab a tube of toothpaste and say, I had the toothpaste tube. I had the tube. I had the YouTube Prime. I had the tube. I had the tube. Now everybody open that tube of toothpaste and bring it to your mouth with both hands and start blowing into that tube. This is a lot funnier with video. So now you blow the tube. Now walk to the window and open the window and blow the tube out of the window like a balloon animal, and it turns into a giant construction tube going out to the street. And now you have an escape tube, okay? So now you jump into the escape tube, but you guys got too ambitious and you blew too hard. And now the giant tube starts curving into like a giant S. It's a snake tube. It's a giant S. So you get stuck in the S tube, and I was stuck in the S tube for several hours until I was able to crawl my way out of the tube. So I was in the S tube. I was in the S tube. I was in the S tube. Now, in the beginning of the story, right, I couldn't what? I couldn't poo until when? I couldn't poo until poo day. So I couldn't is no poo day, and I could is simply poo day. So the past tense, right, action completed, the dot pass, right, one moment, I couldn't poo on that day. I couldn't poo day. I could, right, poo day. I could not, no poo day, right? Fast forward to their party. What did you make the night before for the party? I made ice. I made ice. I made ice. If in Spanish every single letter has to be pronounced, right, except for the silent H. So actually in this case, we don't even really think about it, but I-C-E would be Ise, because the I is always the orgasmic space dolphin going so the I is always and the E is always so ice is actually Ise. I made or I did is Ise. I didn't make, I didn't do, no Ise. Excelente. And luckily she came with Vino. So vino con vino means she came with wine. So vino, literally the same word means she came or he came or it came, and the same word means wine. Vino con vino. How efficient? Vino. Like bambino. Vino, vino, vino. Bambino. Vino. And she came with wine is vino con vino. Vino con vino, right? Now, when the shooting stars started, what was that thing that I wanted? Or that you wanted?
Kiss.
I wanted to kiss her. Kisse. So kisse is I wanted. Kisse. I wanted to kisse. Kisse is I didn't want. No kisse. Very good. But what did she want? She wanted to. No, but she wanted you to put it in the pussy. She wanted you to put it in the pussy. Put it in the pussy. Put it in the pussy. So I put is simply pussy. I didn't put. No pussy. Now we go to in the room. 3 weeks go by, right? What did she say to your D? What did she tell your D? What were they singing? Hey D, hey D, hey D. And if you say hey D, 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 it switches. And then the hey D becomes D hey. D hey. D hey is I said or I told. I didn't say, I didn't tell.
No D hey.
No D hey. No D hey. So D hey and no D hey. And then, right, what did I have? What was that thing that I had? I had the tube. I had the tube, and that's pronounced, I had tube. Right? Right? With the E at the end, you have to sound it. Tube. And I didn't have no tube. I had tube. I didn't have no tube. Very good. And then I was stuck for several hours in the S tube, also known as the Estuve. Estuve.
What's that tube?
It's I was in the S tube. So I was drunk, estuve borracho. I was happy, estuve. That moment, I was happy, estuve feliz. Estuve, I was from estar, right? And then actually, it's not going to be on the exam, but just so you're aware, right? Tener has a fraternal twin brother, because tener is to have, and it becomes tuve. But there's another verb that also means to have, which is haber, and haber is an assistant verb. Its sole purpose in life is to assist. It is an auxiliary verb. That's all it does. Is when you want to say like, I have gone, or I would have gone, or I will have gone, or if I had gone. It's the sole purpose is to accentuate or to bring up the gone, right? So it's not used by itself. So that's going to be haber, and haber from tener becomes tuve, and haber becomes ube, just without the T, right? Because it's a silent H. Ube. So we just learned like 9 really possibly complicated verbs, but if you remember that time that you were seduced by Hades' wife, you will remember that I could Hude, I made Ise, she came With less teeth, if you want to, yeah.
Oh, Bino.
Bino, right? I wanted, quise, right? I put it, puse, right? I said, I told. No, I said, I told. Dihe, right? It's hey, but backward, dihe. And then I had, very good, tube. I was in the estuve. And then the weird brother from tube becomes, we drop the T, and you have ube. It's not really important, but it'll be important later on. It's a seed for later. You won't use it, but it's a seed for later on. Okay? Any other questions?
Nope.
We won't have time for the brothel this time, Tim, sorry, but we'll get into the brothel maybe next week. So sorry for those who brought your tenors for nothing, your $10 bills for nothing. Can I get an a huevo way? A huevo way. Fuck yeah, dude. Can I get a chingon way? Yes, awesome, dude. The shit, dude. Chingon way. And can I get a fresco como lechuga? Fresco como lechuga. Gracias a todos y a todas.